a special show for you today. Today we're coming back to one that we did a while back, probably 8 months ago. You guys absolutely loved it. It was one of our most popular episodes of 2025. It's the funniest non-parody songs of the rock era. We're going to get some that we missed the first go around. These ones don't pull any punches, really ridiculous ones. Included in the ranks is one of rock's most famous teen crush anthems. Really a Mrs. Robinson for the 90s. But while everyone thought it was inspired by a crush this guy had on his friend's mom, it was actually a crush he had on his friend's grandma. There's also the country fried tune that's title is a double entendre about a beaver, and it really pissed off a famous Hollywood actress who thought it was about her. Find out how it ended when she confronted the band. Plus, we've got the rock track with a hard-hitting chorus whose lyrics plagiarized a 1964 etiquette manual about how to become a popular teenage girl. And there's also the dirty joke that was hidden inside of a nursery rhyme that offended every parent in America when it hit number one. This episode's got laughs, it's got some weirdness, but it's gonna be great. Hey music junkies, we're gonna get into this. This is the fourth time I've recorded this because I've had to make changes. We've tried to put it up multiple times, but it's been blocked because of things inside of it. Oh, censorship's so fun. Okay, so we're gonna get to it. Let's get right into our countdown of the funniest non-parody songs of the rock era. And coming in at number 10, I've got The Axis of Awesome with 4 chords, aka the 4-chord song.
My Journey and the cast of Glee. Yeah, there's a few more songs with the same chords. Check it out.
Now, the comedy rock trio The Axis of Awesome formed in 2006 in Sydney, Australia, and they were active up until 2018. The lineup consisted of lead vocalist Jordan Raskopoulos, guitarist and vocalist Lee Naimo, and keyboardist / vocalist Benny Davis. So throughout their run, they released 7 albums and just 1 single, 4 chords, from their 2011 LP Animal Vehicle. 4 chords is a medley of nearly 50 pop songs that all contain the same basic chord structure.
I wanna be forever young.
The song pokes fun at popular musical taste, suggesting that almost every pop hit uses the same recycled progression. The song got airplay on BBC Radio 1, and though it only got as high as number 175 on the UK charts, listeners started finding it on YouTube where they found an Axis sketch of them performing the song. It currently sits at over 90 million views. The medley, which usually started with Journey's Don't Stop Believin', seamlessly weaves in 80s favorites like Take On Me, Down Under, and Forever Young, some 90s alternative like When I Come Around and Self-Esteem, and post-millennial pop like She Will Be Loved and Hey Soul Sister.
I'm your lipstick stain.
Once the curtain is pulled back and the sonic template is exposed, it's really funny. Wisely, the band consulted with copyright lawyers before releasing the song to make sure they wouldn't be sued by dozens of artists all at the same time. Really not the artists, the labels. But since they were only playing a chord progression and not the actual melodies of the songs, they were in the clear. They essentially hacked the music industry to show that almost every hit of the last 40 years is more or less the same song. So later on, Ed Sheeran was accused of ripping off The Axis of Awesome. This is when he appeared on Dutch TV show RTL Late Night to show how every pop song can be sung with only 4 chords. But Axis keyboard player Benny Davis, he didn't see it that way quite. He said, "I don't think he's stolen anything from us. He's a great musician who probably came to the realization himself, like so many musicians do."
Find myself in times of trouble, brother man. Keep, I'm telling you.
He would go on to say, "It's always going to be a thing as long as pop music is simple, juvenile, and written with the same 4 chords." I guess today it's 4 chords in the truth. As long as they're massive chart toppers, there's always going to be a 4-chord melody.
Doesn't that sound familiar?
All right, coming in at number 9, I'm going with My Ding-a-Ling by Chuck Berry.
My ding-a-ling, I wanna play with my ding-a-ling.
So by the early 70s, Chuck Berry didn't travel with a band, and he famously insisted on being paid in cash up front. For these performances, he'd show up with a guitar, he'd plug in, and he'd play with whatever local musicians that he could find. And sometimes it worked, but more often than not, it did not. So in 1972 at the Lanchester Arts Festival, Chuck was backed by a tight group of musicians who would later form the Average White Band. Look it up, it's a true story. Chuck Berry, he ran through a set of his hits and then he pulled out a novelty number that had been part of his live shows for quite a while. The juvenile sing-along called My Ding-a-Ling.
Play with my ding-a-ling, oh my.
Originally written by Dave Bartholomew, Ding-a-Ling sounded like a song written at a middle school cafeteria table. The lyrics tell the story of a young boy who receives a set of silver bells on a string from his grandmother, and he calls them his ding-a-ling.
She liked to play with my ding-a-ling.
As the song progresses, Chuck Berry repeatedly sings about either playing with or holding on to his prized possession. And for the performance, Chuck Berry completely leaned into the joke. He split the audience up and he had the ladies sing the setup, and then the guys, they would shout the punchline, my ding-a-ling. That live version of the song actually went all the way to number 1 in the US and the UK, giving Chuck his first and only number 1 hit. But not everyone was laughing. The song was condemned by parents groups all over, and also conservative watchdogs. In the UK, moral crusader Mary Whitehouse launched a campaign to ban it from the BBC. Mary called the song repulsive and accused it of encouraging indecency. Indeed. Her campaign made headlines across the UK. It was a dirty joke that was hidden in the middle of a nursery rhyme that you could easily sing, and it drove parents crazy.
Catch me playing with my ding-a-ling-a-ling, oh.
And while the BBC never formally banned the song, many radio producers, they would not play it. But the controversy gave My Ding-a-Ling even more publicity. I mean, suddenly the song had become the ultimate forbidden fruit of pop radio. Some fans were baffled that Mr. Johnny B. Good was singing about silver bells on a string, but Chuck Berry didn't care. He said it was fun, and that's what rock and roll is supposed to be. Berry performed My Ding-a-Ling at almost every concert for the next 4 decades. Major hit.
My ding-a-ling.
All right, coming up next at number 8, it's Not a Surf with Popular. Not a Surf formed in New York in the early 90s. The band came out of the friendship between Matthew Cause and Daniel Lorca. They'd met as college students, and after cycling through band names and drummers, the lineup solidified with the addition of Ira Elliott, and they were recording their debut album. Not a Surf's big break came via former Cars frontman Rick Ocasek. He liked their demo tape, and he agreed to be their producer. Ocasek helped refine their power pop and alt-rock sound and paved the way for them to break out with their debut single, Popular. That was released in May of '96, and this was a crazy track to start things off with.
My mom says I'm a catch. I'm popular.
The lyrics of the song, minus the chorus, basically plagiarized a 1964 teen advice book called Penny's Guide to Teenage Charm and Popularity. It's hilarious. The old school etiquette manual was written by Gloria Winters and gives teen girls a strict blueprint for achieving social success. The book offers advice on everything from physical grooming and posture to the proper way to interact with boys and handle breakups.
There is. If you want to catch the biggest fish in your pond, you have to be as attractive as possible.
Its rigid instructional tone presents popularity as a skill that you can master just if you check all the boxes. The song's humor comes from Cause's sarcastic deadpan delivery. As he recites the etiquette manual, he kind of comes across as a creepy, over-earnest social guidance counselor, if you will. And the whole thing, it's completely absurd and maybe a little off-kilter. From proper hair care to the 3 important rules for breaking up, Matthew, he lays it all out. You want to be at the head of the class? You want to be a party star? Just listen to the plan.
If you'll just listen to my plan, the teenage guide to popularity.
Said bassist Daniel Lorca, the song was meant to be completely sarcastic. It was based on a 1964 teen advice book, and we were mocking that mindset. It's funny because some people thought we were actually giving advice on how to be popular. And Matthew added, we thought it was a joke. I mean, we were a 3-piece rock band, and then suddenly I'm doing this spoken word thing. I remember thinking, this is funny, but no one's ever going to hear it. But it gave us a career. Without that song, we might not have been able to make the next 7 albums. Popular was actually Not a Surf's biggest single, going to number 11 on the U.S. alternative chart.
I got my own car. I'm popular.
All right, coming in number 7 is one of my favorites. I watch this with my son all the time. Lazy Sunday by The Lonely Island, featuring Chris Parnell. Formed in Berkeley in the early 2000s, The Lonely Island was comprised of a trio of childhood friends, Akiva Schaffer, Andy Samberg, and Jorma Taccone. They began by creating comedic sketches and musical parodies until their DIY brand of absurdist hip-hop got them noticed by Saturday Night Live in 2005. Now, while Sandberg became a breakout cast member, the trio continued to collaborate behind the scenes, pioneering the SNL digital short format. That same year, they released Lazy Sunday, a hardcore rap parody about a mundane trip to see a showing of the Chronicles of Narnia.
What up, Paul? Yo, Sandberg, what's cracking? You thinking what I'm thinking? Narnia, man, it's happening.
Also called the Chronic of Narnia Rap, or, the Chronicles of Narnia Rap, Andy Samberg described the song's lyrics as two guys rapping about very lame, sensitive stuff. Lazy Sunday, it goes all in on the absurdity, contrasting aggressive hardcore East Coast rap with MapQuest, Hamilton's, and Patrick Swayze. In other words, pitting the self-serious aesthetic of 90s hip-hop against the quest for cupcakes, and of course a matinee screening of Narnia. My favorite part is Snack Attack, mother,
What you wanna do, Chris? Snack attack,
Said Sandberg, when we first recorded it, it was just relentless all the way through. There were no dance breaks. And then Steve Higgins came in to check on how we were doing, and we played it for him, and he was like, that's way too fast for your audience. You have to put in breaks to give people a time to laugh and to wrap their heads around it. Lonely Island didn't like the advice at first, but the finished version ultimately did include those short breaks. The first coming after the Notebook reference. I love those cupcakes like McAdams loves Gosling.
Got all about Bob Frosty. I love those cupcakes like McAdams loves Gosling.
It did exactly what Higgins had said it would. It gave us all a chance to breathe, hear the lyrics, laugh, and then figure out what the hell was going on. In 2012, Sandberg and Parnell reunited for the sequel, Lazy Sunday 2, that swapped the Narnia obsession for a trip to the Broadway musical Sister Act, which is next level lame.
In the theater like aristocrats. We gonna sister act like we got racks on racks.
Now, beyond the Lazy Sundays, the Lonely Island would go on to produce a string of 19 top 10 hits on the U.S. comedy charts, including the Grammy-nominated I'm on a Boat featuring T-Pain and Jack Sparrow, of course featuring Michael Bolton, which is another hilarious song.
I'm on a boat, everybody look at me, cause I'm sailing on a boat.
Run, I know I make you feel crazy.
Now back to the good part. He was born.
All right, coming in at number 6, this is one of the reasons I've had to re-record this and re-upload it so many times. I'm going to have to say this in a way that, gets the point across without saying it. At number 6, I got Primus with Winona's Big Blank Blank.
My mama took her big brown beaver and she stuck him up in the air.
We're talking double entendres here, and this one is not subtle. This song is a country fried hoedown that uses a literal beaver as a stand-in for, something else. Primus runs with a schoolyard pun and lets the listener's mind do the dirty work. The lyrics maintain a literal and very bizarre narrative about an oversized pet rodent. And yes, I checked. Beavers are rodents. Second biggest in the world, actually. The absurdity is ratcheted up by the song's chaotic carnivalesque instrumentation. You got Les Claypool's frantic bass and the twangy psychedelic polka vibe that makes the whole thing feel like a cartoon gone off the rails.
Winona's got herself a big brown beaver and she shows him off to all her friends.
Les Claypool said, I was fly fishing with a friend of mine up in Lassen County. The sun was going down. I came around this corner and I spied this thing. It spied me. It was this big, furry mass coming my way. It flipped and popped its tail and scared the shiz out of me, and I scared the shiz out of it. It was a giant beaver, and it was huge. I mean, huge. So it kind of got in my head. Now, Les would admit that Winona's Big Brown You-Know-What was never supposed to be what it became. It was just supposed to be a goofy little song on the record with a bit of a banjo. But it just kind of evolved into the lead track. Winona's was released as the first single on Primus's fourth studio album, Tales from the Punch Bowl, in '95. It reached number 12 on the U.S. alternative charts, making it Primus's second most commercially successful track after My Name is Mud, which reached number 9. There's also the long-held rumor that actress Winona Ryder confronted Primus about the song's title backstage at a festival, and she was seriously pissed. But you know what? Actually, Les Claypool cleared things up in a 1997 interview saying, I met Winona Ryder. She'd heard from a friend of ours that I'd possibly written a song about her. She's actually really cool. She wasn't pissed really. I think she was just more confused than pissed. She wanted to know why we might write a song about her, and I told her, it actually has nothing to do with you. It was really cool. I got to meet a movie star. Actually, Les Claypool was confused himself about the rumors, and he actually wondered why no one ever asked if the song was about country star Winona Judd. I mean, you know, the song had country ties, and the spelling of that was closer to Winona Judd.
Come up in the air. Said I sure do love this big brown beaver, and I wish I did have a pair.
Halfway through the countdown, I've got number 5. It's hilarious. Fountains of Wayne, with one of the most all-time cringeworthy tracks, Stacy's Mom.
I know it might be wrong, but I'm in love with Stacy's mom.
You could sum this one up as basically a meeting of Simon and Garfunkel's Mrs. Robinson, and the car is just what I needed. And yeah, bassist Adam Schlesinger, he confirmed that he had Mrs. Robinson in mind when he wrote it. He said it was a contrast of that story against a track that sounded like 80s new wave, not like The Cars or something.
Do you feel at home? And here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. I guess you're just what I need, just what I need.
So released in 2003 on the Welcome Interstate Managers album, Stacy's Mom cleverly subverts the atypical teen crush scenario, flipping the script from peer-to-peer romance to misguided coming-of-age awkwardness, let's say. And they do it to great effect. The comedy is in the lyrical dramatic irony, where the narrator, an adolescent boy, is laser focused on his friend's mother and completely ignores Stacy's obvious interest in him. But wait, it's even worse than you think. According to Adam, the song was inspired by one of his friends when he was 11 or 12, who was attracted not to his mom, but to his grandmother. True story. This friend told Schlesinger that his grandma was really hot, and that bizarre memory would inspire the song years later.
Stacy, can't you see? You're just not the girl for me.
So Stacy's Mom was released on May 19, 2003, and it actually peaked at number 21 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it became Fountains of Wayne's most recognizable song. Its success was no doubt helped by the music video that the group put out to support the song. The video follows a young boy's comic antics trying to get noticed by his teenage girlfriend's somewhat inappropriate mother, played by model Rachel Hunter to great effect.
Stacy's mom has got it going on.
Singer Chris Collingwood was actually reluctant to record this one, though. He said, I tried to talk Adam out of Stacy's mom. I could see exactly what was going to happen, and when it started happening in slow motion, it just felt inevitable. He was too good of a writer to have that be his calling card, though, and the success of a novelty song means that that's just what you are to the public from that moment on forever. When it was done, I don't think it belonged on the album at all. It sounded like a completely different band. Well, it's still a good song.
Stacy's mom has got it going on.
All right, coming in at number 4, we've got the band that was contraband back in the day. We all hid it from our parents. We all have the cassettes. You know who you are. At number 4, I've got the indie punk extraordinaires, the Dead Milkmen with Bitchin' Camaro.
Bitchin' Camaro, Bitchin' Camaro. I ran over my neighbor.
The Dead Milkmen came together in Philadelphia in 1983. And staples of the underground scene, they blended punk rock with a satirical wit, and it really set them apart from their more self-serious hardcore peers. The original roster consisted of vocalist Rodney Anonymous Linderman, guitarist Joe Gennaro, aka Joe Jack Talcum, bassist Dave Blood Schulthes, and drummer Dean Clean Sabatino. These guys skewered everything from consumer culture and art school pretension. Remember, you'll dance to anything. The Dead Milkmen gained some national notoriety with their 1985 debut album, Big Lizard in My Backyard, and the college radio hit Bitchin' Camaro. Said Joe Gennaro about the song, that was inspired by a conversation we overheard in a line at a 7-Eleven in Philly. Rodney wrote down the lyrics for the first part, and then he put them to music. Now, lyrically, I always wanted to try to do something that would result in a laugh or two, and Bitchin' Camaro is a perfect parody of suburban youth bravado, for sure.
I don't know. Play some video games, buy some Def Leppard t-shirts.
The song, of course, mocks a teenager who owns a comparatively unimpressive car, but of course thinks it's the bomb. We've all been there. The song chronicles increasingly absurd details, like how when his parents got him the car, they drove it up from the Bahamas, and it just keeps getting more ridiculous and kind of criminal, with a laundry list of driving offenses in that Bitchin' Camaro, from driving donuts in someone's lawn to running over his neighbors.
Bitchin' Camaro, now I'm in all the papers. My folks bought me a
Bitchin' Camaro is also legendary for its extended spoken word intro about going to the sandbar to see a Doors cover band. You all remember it. This was actually completely ad-libbed, by the way. This 3-minute intro was never even supposed to be on the album. The band was in a tiny low-budget studio, and they had about 5 minutes of tape left, so Joe and Rodney just sort of started rambling until they got to the part about the Bitchin' Camaro.
Cover band, crystal shit. Wow. Yeah, they do a Doors show.
The whole thing is just off the wall. The Milkmen, they were never meant for the mainstream, never meant for radio consumption. But a few years later, they did score a modern rock hit with Punk Rock Girl, released in December of '88.
Like Minnie Pearl, just you and me, punk rock girl.
If you want to check them out, there's plenty of insanity to choose from. 11 studio albums. The most recent came out in 2023.
On your lawn. Bitchin' Camaro, Tony Orlando and Dawn.
All right, we're getting close to the top. First at number 3, I've got The Offspring with Pretty Fly for a White Guy.
And all the girlies say I'm pretty fly.
For a white guy.
Of course, this one's all about delusions of grandeur. Gangster grandeur, to be precise. Pretty Fly for a White Guy goes into overdrive, mocking a guy who's trying way too hard to be cool. The satire is, of course, heightened by the song's kind of cheesy production, which blends hard-hitting rock riffs with kooky elements like the high-pitched Give It To Me Baby backing vocals and the Def Leppard nod and the nonsensical pseudo-Spanish intro. Frontman Dexter Holland explained that the song was inspired by the specific type of posers that he saw in everyday life. It's really inspired by wannabe gangsters, his words exactly. He would say, guys who go to malls and get the gangster rap clothes, guys on Ricky Lake who won't listen to their moms. They're from like Omaha, Nebraska, regular white bread boys, but who act like they're from Compton. Dexter wanted to create a song that was about someone who was so obviously fake he had no idea that he was the target. Continuing on, he said, I wanted to write a song where people in high school would go, I know exactly who this guy's talking about, so-and-so in third period. And he's like that too. That's kind of the beauty, making fun of people who don't know that they're actually being made fun of.
And all the girlies say I'm pretty fly for a white guy.
Now, the music video's wannabe white guy is portrayed by actor Guy Cohen, who was chosen for the role after Offspring frontman Dexter Holland's first choice, Seth Green, was unavailable. Actually, Seth Green would have been perfect. He kind of plays that character and can't hardly wait.
There's a mirror right there. Why don't you take a look, okay? You're white.
Guy ended up going out on tour with the band and coming out during the song and doing silly dances to rapture his response, let's say.
Oh yeah, that's him. You haven't changed a bit, guy. Can you bust a move right now?
So he told Spin, I do the Running Man, I do the Roger Rabbit, I get down on the floor and I freak the ground. People just explode with laughter. You can also see him making a brief cameo in the video for the follow-up single, Why Don't You Get a Job?
Why don't you get a job?
But the thing is, Guy Cohen was so convincing as a loser, he became an overnight celebrity. People began treating him like the actual character that he was playing. Kind of a rough go. Pretty Fly for a White Guy, that went to number 3 on the US alternative charts and number 5 on the modern rock charts. All right, coming in at number 2, this is one of my favorite songs. It's time to step into the Hyundai for a trip to Glendale. I got Beck with his classic tribute to Prince, Deborah. This one is a brilliant contrast between, Beck's sexy Prince-inspired falsetto and the completely absurd lyrics. They tell the story of a guy trying to pick up a JCPenney's employee, and maybe her sister Deborah too. The song leans into the tropes of 70s slow jams so hard, it's a complete caricature, throwing line after line of dorky details like cold stepping with a fresh pack of gum, and it's hilarious.
Step to you with the fresh pack of gum.
Said Beck about it, it's fascinating to me, these guys singing R&B with a very sweet, smooth groove, but they're singing about how they want to get some girls, what's off, and I can't say the real thing. Basically what he says is they're singing about the wild thing. Very explicit, but very sensitive at the very same time. It's a really weird juxtaposition. So Beck had originally tried to record Deborah with the Dust Brothers for his 5th studio album, Odelay, released in '96. But in his words, he said it was just too jokey. But then he started playing it live and it became the centerpiece of his whole set. It was that one song that people would react to more than anything they heard on the radio, so he just kept playing it. And then somewhere along the way, it became this mystery song that people were going crazy over, but nobody knew where they could find it or even what the song was called until a few years later when Beck finally added it to his album Midnight Vultures, fittingly as the record's closer, one of the best closers ever.
I'm gonna take you up to Glendale.
And although it was never released as a single, it would be lauded as one of his best songs. It was even picked up for a prominent placement in Edgar Wright's modern classic film Baby Driver. Of course, in it, Baby and his soon-to-be girlfriend Deborah, they talk about the songs that have their names in them.
Except I'm D-E-B-O-R-A, and I think that's just D-E-B-R-A.
I don't know that one.
And they're both on two ends of the spectrum, right? Baby has more songs named after him than anyone will ever have. But Deborah's got just a couple, including one from T-Rex, and of course, Beck's Deborah.
I met you, J.C. Penney.
Beyond that, Deborah was also a major influence on our Countdown's #1 band, a musical duo who loved the song's vibe and modeled their style right after it. I'll reveal the name of that band in just a minute, but first, I gotta throw in an honorable mention for a great song, Blister in the Sun by Violent Femmes. Of course, anchored by Gordon Gano's adolescent vocals that fluctuate between whispers and yelps, the song feels like a nervous breakdown.
Like I glister in the sun, let me go on.
Released in '83 on the Femmes' self-titled debut album, for years the song was shrouded by urban legends about its meaning, with most listeners assuming it's a thinly veiled metaphor about self-love due to lyrics like, stained sheets and big hands and all that. And I guess it's funnier that way.
Body and beats, I stain my sheets, I don't even know why.
But get this, years later, bassist Brian Ritchie actually sued lead singer Gordon Gano over the song for lack of artistic integrity. It happened after Gordon sold the song to Wendy's to use in an ad about a fish sandwich. Brian Ritchie was incensed that the punk anthem was being prostituted to sell what he called harmful fast food. He claimed that it permanently damaged the band's legacy. Ritchie was already mad at Gordon for robbing him of a songwriting credit for a number of the band's songs, but after seeing the ad, he just lost it and decided to take legal action. The case was eventually resolved out of court. However, this was the last straw for Ritchie, and the band broke up in 2009 for several years. Good news is they were able to resolve their differences and reunited in 2013, and they continue to tour together. All right, here it is, our Countdown's mic drop track. And the duo I hinted at before called Fly to the Conchords, and they kill it with my #1 track, Business Time.
It's business. It's business time.
Now, if you don't already know the Conchords, you got to check them out. These guys are comedic masters. I mean, seriously, these two New Zealanders, Brett McKenzie and Jermaine Clement, they bring comic gold every single time. If you don't believe me, Brett himself will tell you why they're a cut above the rest. Explaining just how good they are, he said, I suppose with most comedic songs, you only really want to listen to them once. So I guess we just take a bit more time with the music. With our songs, maybe people will want to play them twice. Okay, so Fly to the Conchords formed back in '98, but they hit the big time when they were picked up by HBO.
Who likes to rock the party? I like to rock the party. Fly to the Concord.
The show, of course, was called Fly to the Conchords, and they gave us 2 hilarious seasons from 2007 to 2009. There should have been more. It followed the quirky deadpan antics of Brett and Jermaine, who were chasing a music career in New York. You gotta see it. I'll link to it below. Their songs were integral to every episode and hilarious. So to put Business Time in context, which aired on the 5th episode of the first season, we got to step back to the pilot episode for a second. It's the song The Most Beautiful Girl in the Room.
Can't believe that I'm sharing a kebab with the most beautiful girl.
The track is the show's first major musical sequence, and it's triggered when Jermaine is smitten over Brett's ex Sally at a party. In the song, Jermaine is maybe just a little too honest in his assessment of her looks. Instead of the most beautiful woman in the world, she's the most beautiful woman in the room. So beautiful that she could even be a part-time model. I think we covered this one last time. The two end up dating until Brett becomes a third wheel and things get weird. Until Sally finally breaks up with Jermaine.
Well, you could be a part-time model.
All right, now back to episode 5 called Sally Returns. On this episode, Jermaine runs into Sally at a laundromat and fantasizes about what it would be like to be married to her. And cue business time. So business time is this oddly surreal fantasy sequence where Jermaine sings about almost every married life getting it on cliche, right? In the song, conditions are perfect for doing the wild thing because it's Wednesday night, and that's the night that they get it on. After Sally brushes her teeth, which of course is all part of the foreplay, and then sorts the recycling.
Go sort out the recycling, which isn't part of the foreplay, but it's still very important.
The two retire to the bedroom, dressed in an old, ugly, baggy, team-building t-shirt. Sally climbs into bed while Jermaine strips down to his socks. Business socks. What follows is 2 minutes in heaven, which Jermaine, of course, points out is better than 1 minute in heaven.
You know when I'm down to my socks, it's time for business. That's why they call business socks. Ooh.
The whole thing is hilarious, with Jermaine performing the song in a deep Barry White-style croon. When it's all over, Sally asks, "Is that it?" And Jermaine replies,
"Business hours are over, baby."
Then he goes to sleep. When Jermaine comes back to reality, he ends up pursuing Sally only to discover she's already engaged. So much for the fantasy. But business time, it's hands down one of the best songs by the New Zealand duo, and that's saying something. They have a catalog of some of the best comedic tracks you're ever going to hear.
It's business. It's business time.
So there you have it. 10 more of the funniest non-parody songs ever. What are some of your favorite songs? Let's talk about them below. Actually, we should cover some of Weird Al's non-parody songs. If we covered Weird Al, he'd probably be 5 of the 10. But let me know your memories below. What else would you like to see? Would you like to see a part 3? Let's have a great discussion. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. Really need your help right now because, man, we're getting killed. I'm not even going to go into it. I don't want to complain. I'm just saying that I'm getting tanked. My channel's getting tanked for sure, but we're going to do the best that we can. Need your help. Please share. Please like. Please do all the stuff that you do. And make sure to subscribe below. Click the bell so you always know when our latest and greatest come out. We appreciate everything from you. Till next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.